We're going down to the college level now, because some of us are now shopping to find out what we're going to draft to fix our teams. I mean, some of us are huge college sports fans. No, but for real though, the SEC has been beating up on themselves, and it's been glorious.
Yeah, we actually have, because real quick, they actually scheduled the SEC to go against each other this year, and you know, the reason why this whole chaos, unfolded is because it's good teams versus good teams, right?
Oh, is that why?
Oh, absolutely.
Vandy, no. Is that why Vandy is so good and scary this year? Oh, okay. No rebuttal. Okay. The state of Tennessee
Hold
has
on.
owned
What's
Alabama.
What's your point? I don't even care. I don't even care about Alabama right now.
Doesn't matter.
What's your point?
No.
What's your point?
I
don't even care about. I'm not even an Alabama fan.
Each other. They're beating up on each other, and then here comes Vandy. Vandy's beating up on y'all. I think y'all just having a down year.
Y'all? We didn't lose to Vandy. Georgia did not lose to Vandy. Y'all is Alabama.
Who did Georgia lose to?
Top 25 teams, Ole Miss and Alabama. We might have lost to Alabama, but we did not directly lose to Vanderbilt.
Transitively, you did.
Yeah, that
But that doesn't mean we have played Vanderbilt. That's not how it works. You see how this unfolds?
People
I'm enjoying
stopped. No, Vanderbilt. They don't even have a stadium right now. They are building it. People stopped to watch Alabama lose in whatever pit they're building Vanderbilt Stadium in currently. Okay? Like, you can't go like, oh, the SEC's so tough. But then it's like, all right, then what's Vanderbilt's record right now in the SEC? Yeah, that Vandy.
They have like 6 wins, don't they? Wow. Diego Pavia.
The record in the SEC is 3-3. That's what I was asked.
Yeah, and who have they beaten in the SEC?
Enjoy the Belk Bowl, Vandy.
Well, that's my whole point is we did not play Vandy.
Oh, you don't want Vandy.
Vandy would not beat us. Yeah, okay, first off, I'm pretty sure Vandy would have had to come to Georgia. Either one. We would have beat Vandy. I still stand on that. Vandy beating Alabama after them being cocky about beating us was the reason that Bama screwed around and got beat. They were cocky coming out of that week. Vandy saw a weak spot.
Oh, is that what happened? Is that why they also almost beat Texas?
Oh yeah, that's
almost.
Right.
Almost.
No, it's Vandy, Bunt. Vandy almost beat Texas. Like, you're telling me that the SEC is not having a down year. And Missouri.
We might be having a down year, but when they do match us up with the teams that are the top in SEC, you see what unfolds. Because we're actually given a hard schedule.
All I'm hearing is a bunch of crybabies coming out of the SEC.
Doesn't the SEC like play like 1 week where they play cupcake teams or something? Is that still a thing?
Yeah. Who's your cupcake loss?
Our cupcake loss?
It might be Vandy in the SEC championship.
They're 10th in the SEC. You're quit dreaming.
Oh man, that's funny.
Quit dreaming. You wish.
Right, just to be clear, you're telling me about how like almighty and powerful the SEC is. A team that lost to Georgia State, nearly beat number 7 Missouri, beat number 1 Alabama, I mean, beating Kentucky, that's a normal thing. In fact, I'm surprised because, like, typically for Kentucky, like, they usually fire the coach after a Vandy loss. Like, that's always the deciding factor. Like, they'll keep a coach for as long as humanly possible, but then as soon as they lose to Vandy, they're like, sorry, Joker Phillips, you're out.
If Saban was there, that would not have happened. That team is fundamentally different under. And I'm forgetting the guy who coaches it now. He was used to coach at Washington, but they've clearly taken a step back, culture-wise at Alabama, and it kind of shows with how they've been playing this year. I mean, this is still. It's not saying that Alabama is like not a contender, but they've taken a step back. So them losing to Vanderbilt doesn't shock me as much when you consider what they lost during the off season, coach wise. But I'm just
mean,
happy that Vandy's going bowling. You know, that's all I care about.
I think we should be more concerned about the team that lost to Alabama and then an Alabama assistant.
Is this the only thing we're going to talk about? We still also have a win against Texas Clemson, who has been improved since the beginning of the season.
Hey, you know who else has a win against Clemson?
Who?
Louisville.
I'm curious about Louisville's record now.
It's bad. It's not
6
that
and
bad.
4.
Yeah.
Hey, you're going bowling.
Yeah, we're going bowling.
Overall, I mean, like we have
lost is to Stanford, which
Ew.
it's recent.
Oh no,
yeah.
That's a bad loss.
That's a bad loss. Yeah.
Ooh,
and it just happened after the Clemson win, right? Because they're all high because it was the first time in I think program history that we've beaten Clemson.
Hold up, E. If we're gonna go by the logic about Vanderbilt beating Alabama and then Alabama beating us, how about us beating Tennessee and Tennessee beating Alabama? Because we did just beat Tennessee, you know, and if people want to say that isn't impressive, be my guest.
I mean, the Tennessee that lost to Arkansas?
You might have a point there. Like I said, every team has their down week. Keep this in mind because good teams will lose to bad teams. Like
what's happening? What's happening is the SEC is learning that when there's no longer secret bagmen and everyone has to pay players out in the open with NILs, all of a sudden there's a bit more parity in the leagues. So you guys aren't the end-all be-all of college sports anymore. I mean, you still think you are. That's fine. It's cute. It's adorable. But, I mean, based off the top 25 rankings, you got one team up there. And the rest, I mean, and to be fair, I think the other teams that are on there are ranked too high.
If I may butt in for a minute.
You absolutely may. I can't wait to hear about Rutgers.
I feel like there isn't real. Did you just say I root for Rutgers?
Yeah.
Listen. That's unfair. I went to Virginia Tech.
Oh, okay.
Different bad team. Anyway, I mean, yes. A lot of what is said about the SEC.
College is fun.
I mean, yeah. I mean, of course, there is a lot more parity in the SEC, but I think this conference is still really competitive. I mean, there's 13 teams that are 500 and above. There are 6 teams out of 16 that have 2 losses or fewer. This is still a really good, highly competitive conference. It's just that when you take away divisions and have them all play each other, of course, there's going to be some cannibalization. We saw this firsthand with like the Pac-12 like years ago. Like I still think this is one of the best conferences. You want to know what conference would kill to have a season this competitive? The ACC.
I knew you were going to say it.
They are bad. They would
You're
kill for something
they
like
are.
this.
No, the ACC is booty cheeks. Sorry for saying that. They're awful. They are not good.
My whole point is
That's all we got. Because like I'm sitting here like I'm like clicking through to try to pull up stats.
I'm just, oh my God, Florida State. Jesus Christ.
I have the top 25 right here. And you say that you think that we're ranked too high. The SEC teams that are in the top 25, right? Or the top 12 at least. Don't get me wrong. I believe Texas is ranked too high. Like, thus, we have beat Texas. Texas has barely escaped these teams. Texas has played nobody. So I agree with you on that one. And overall, I can agree with you. The SEC is on their down year. I will give that to you. But does that mean that our powerhouse teams are gone? No. I don't believe so. I believe they're still there and they're willing to upset these Big Ten teams that think that they could go in like any other year and beat these powerhouse SEC teams. Point in being the 2023 Peach Bowl. That
It's still weird though. Like you guys are like crapping on the ACC, and like I'll have you know that powerhouse ACC member SMU.
oh
That
wow.
is- oh, okay.
Oh wow.
That's oh.
That,
God.
oh man, yeah.
If
First
that's
off-
who's representing y'all, I feel bad.
No, first off,
Nudge.
if anyone's surprised at the moment it became legal to pay players, SMU would automatically become important again. Someone hasn't
It's
paid
crazy
enough to...
how that works. It's crazy
I
how
know.
that works.
Oh,
right?
that's all it is.
Life comes full circle.
Well, I mean, let's just talk about like that upper echelon of the ACC for real quick, because if you're just because you got SMU, that powerhouse. Yeah, Clemson there. They've been exposed. You know, there is a way to beat them. Miami will
Yeah.
Miami. I mean, that's just a thing that Miami does. And if you've been watching ACC football, you know that Miami will Miami at some point. But
Yeah.
then, you know, sneaking around the corner, you know, nobody wants to have a scrap with. Is it Syracuse?
Yeah, Syracuse. Syracuse football being relevant again. Oh my gosh. That
That's
is
crazy.
insane.
Somebody's gonna hire that coach. You go to Syracuse just so you can get 7 wins because you know that somebody else is gonna show up with a big bag of money.
Wow. Syracuse, Louisville, Tech, Duke, Pitt. Oh God, Pitt. Pitt is actually good in football this year. Wow.
No,
7-2.
Pitt has the Pitt super weapon. Okay, like they might go to 8 wins. They might make it to 8 wins. But Pitt's role in the ACC is that if you're a contender for the national title, they have been spending their entire resources powering up the Pitt super weapon, and it's just going to go off that one time you're going to play them. And it's like, oh, you were in the top 3. Sorry, we're now you're not quality loss. That's just what Pitt's role is, and if there's a Pitt fan out there, you know, because like you cheer for it. It's the Pitt super weapon. It just goes off anytime that you show up against like a top 10 team. It's like, yeah, we're doing great, we're doing wonderful. I can't wait to ruin your season. That's Pitt. You know, like the it's like Purdue, the spoiler makers instead of the Boilermakers.
The spoiler makers.
That's why they
Feel bad for
exist.
Purdue.
Yeah, no, they're
They fell off hard.
yeah.
They went from
Really?
in 2018, was it? I think it was when they upset Ohio State to whatever this season is.
Yeah.
I mean, they produced a great coach. I mean, you know, wherever he ended up at is probably doing great right now.
Overall, I think that everybody wanted to see the SEC duke it out this year just so they could claw at each other and make fools of themselves just so the other conferences could make fun of them like you are doing right now.
No, like the worst part is if y'all don't have a established winner, because like no, this is the same crap that goes on constantly with us. Florida State was undefeated last year, and they got snubbed. So, like, there is no love lost on this side of things. Y'all are going, but we might be left out of the playoffs. Well, I don't see you guys crying any tears over undefeated Florida State not getting in last year.
That was a travesty. They should have got in.
Yeah, they 100% should have been.
They
Oh,
should have
you
been in.
guys learning what it's like to be other conferences right now?
No,
Listen.
trust me. I vouch for Florida State getting in over Alabama. I hate Alabama. What they
Yeah,
passion.
same.
Do you know how many good basketball teams didn't get into the tournament because ESPN was sitting there speaking up the SEC like the entire time on basketball of all things?
Oh,
Basketball?
that is annoying, by the way. That annoys the what out of me.
You know
'Cause
what my secret
they
was
do
for
it
having a
every
great
year.
bracket? Y'all losing.
Like,
Oh, this
no,
is
my secret.
basketball.
they will overhype the SEC in basketball every single year, like
And the,
nonstop. ESPN does it, and you know what? It makes me upset. It really does.
but the thing is that they don't just do it in basketball. They also do it in football. They won't admit to it, but like, how many times do you think an SEC school would have still walked away with the championship if they weren't playing another freaking SEC school in the championship?
Well, if you think about it, the reason why there were 2 SEC teams that went there is because they were the only ones that were proven.
In
Be
the
good
BCS
enough.
era, really?
Oh, the BCS. Oh boy. Wait, are we
Talking
talking
Because
about
about-
last year?
I'm talking
Yeah.
about recent.
no, well, no, because it's all pedigree and based off of history and all that crap. And you got to look back at when they're like, well, Alabama and LSU, they got to play a second time. How about you get somebody else to take a crack at it?
Oh my God. You're talking about, what was that? The game of the century? Where was that the 10-9 game where LSU beat Alabama and then they
The
played like
rematch
week
of the
again?
game of the century.
Okay, yeah, that was
And it was like, all right, so what's the score at halftime? Like 3-3?
that was a BCS game, wasn't it? Yeah, that was. Yeah, that was a BCS game for the title. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so like all of this pedigree about how amazing the SEC is, it's all based off of crap that's like rigged to make it look. I mean, of course the SEC team was gonna win if you put both of them in there.
See, what we should do is we should let computers rank the teams. That way, there's no human bias. Well, we've
Except
done
for
that already. Never mind. There's still
no,
going to be
no, no,
bias.
because they deliberately was like, well, the computers got it wrong because they actually use numbers and things. And so we also want to make sure that the computers weigh the AP poll. And what's the AP poll generated off of? Oh, it's just people's opinions. Like there's always some clown that's like, I think Notre Dame should be number 1. They're like 4-3 right now. Why is he number 1?
Then have the computer do the AP poll. Have computers do everything. See,
It'd
there's no
probably be
bias at that point.
It would be significantly better. Because like, what's the because they're like, well, you got to compare the AP poll to the coaches poll. You know what the coaches poll is? I'm going to get me my grad assistant and say whatever that's going on there, unless it's my rival at the top, go ahead and just organize it the same way. Bye.
That's a whole nother can of worms with the top
Yeah.
25. I have it pulled up right here because I'm just waiting to just talk about it.
Oh, we're transitioning right into this.
So like can I say what I think about it, right?
Go for it.
Oh, so you don't think Oregon deserves the number 1 spot?
No, I think they absolutely do.
Okay, great, fantastic. Ohio State.
Hold on, wait. I think Oregon does. And talking about it a little bit, even though they have struggled, and I've seen a lot of people talk about this, Oregon doesn't deserve the number 1 spot because they struggled at Wisconsin. Every team struggles, like I've said. I will preach that football is a week by week game. You're gonna struggle, but Oregon is the only team that deserves that number 1 spot right now. Ohio State deserves number 2. Texas does not deserve to be in the top 5 at all. Texas does not. How are you going to tell me, like, looking at who they played so far, the team that they have a loss against is Georgia. The only team that they have played to have pose any kind of competition. And even that, like you said earlier, they struggled at Vanderbilt.
I agree.
Texas-
Indiana should be above Texas. Yes, I agree.
Number 4, Penn State. As much as I want to say, ooh. Penn State has only played Ohio State and lost. Do I believe Penn State should be there? I'll give it to them. Let them be there. Let them be there. But if I say so myself, if they were given a little bit more of a harder schedule, like, you know, playing teams within their conference, they would not be where they are. Indiana. Let me be real about this here. What makes you think Indiana should belong there? Like, let me just ask you.
No, at number 5? No. Indiana should not be at number 5.
Look.
Indiana should be at like 3 or 2.
Oh,
Okay,
that
but
is
who have they
take.
played?
Whoa.
That
Hold on.
is a take.
Pause. With a whopping number 100 strength of schedule in the whole college football, you believe that they belong at number 3?
For this
Wait.
week, they absolutely belong at either number 2 or number 3. You know
Who
why?
would they beat?
It doesn't matter. Well, first off, they've beaten Indiana's reputation as a football school.
Okay, but that doesn't matter. They've beaten nobody.
I'll
Like-
give it to you. They are undefeated. They are an undefeated team. But like
In
Sidewatch is
power
saying,
conference.
Their best win is Michigan, and Michigan is not a good football team.
exactly.
Let that sink in.
Yeah.
They're not a good football team. That's their best win.
Until they show up and beat Ohio State at the end of the year.
Oh,
but you know.
that's not going to happen. That's
I-
not
That's gonna
not
happen.
happening.
And they play at Ohio State, right?
And I hate Ohio State, but they're not beating Ohio State.
Everybody get your flowers together in a circle.
Oh.
Who's going to Indiana's funeral that day? I got
I
Ohio
will.
State by 50.
Yeah, no, they're not beating Ohio State.
Notre Dame at 6.
Okay, well, we've already covered the fact that Notre Dame always gets overranked for where they are.
Yeah, they should not be where they are. NIU lost. No, NIU lost is
That's a-
not is not a pretty sight.
Yeah,
They
but
should not be.
to be fair, they still belong above most of the teams they're above.
Hold on. Maybe.
I guess you could say that, but it's still a loss against NIU. We're literally just looking at record. The reason why they're still where
And
they
who
are
have they
now.
beaten?
Nobody. Literally. Nobody.
I mean,
Almost. Who?
A&M, it's their best.
A&M.
Navy?
Okay, I can see why, because of A&M, but that was also the beginning of the season. They went downhill since then.
A&M and
time.
Navy are like their best wins. That's it.
Navy's kind of falling off, but they also do got to play Army soon, so they might get exposed. They might get exposed by
Yeah,
Army.
for this week, I think it makes sense. And then if we have to adjust things after they lose to Army, okay.
Okay.
Then Army gets
Alabama.
to come up.
Alabama being at 7, I still think they should have plummeted more after losing to Vanderbilt. I don't see how
Same.
they dropped only like 6 versus when we lost to Ole Miss, a top 25 team, and plummeted 10 spots. I'm not even gonna linger on that for too long.
Welcome to SEC biased. Okay, so imagine if you would, you weren't in the SEC, and instead of plummeting only 10 points, you would fall out of the top 25 just because you had a bad game against another ranked team.
No, I get it.
Now, it annoyed me that Alabama did not fall farther than they did for losing to Vanderbilt. Like that.
Yep.
Genuinely annoying. If this was anybody else, we would not be having this discussion. Like
Absolutely.
there's bias there for the SEC. It exists.
And you're gonna think I've like crashed out or something saying this. We do not belong ahead of Ole Miss. We do not. I believe that we belong at 9 and Ole Miss belongs at 8. Ole Miss did beat us. Ole Miss beat us. They deserve that spot more than we do right now. And that's coming from a Georgia fan. As of right now, it stands. Unless we meet again in playoffs somehow. Ole Miss belongs ahead of us. 100%. Tennessee, I see it. Miami, too high. Still, after losing to Tech, I believe it.
He
Boise
had one
State.
bad game. No, you don't get to go. Oh, I had 2 bad games, and then they go. Oh, he had 1 bad game. No, he still has done well. They get to go up.
You're just my whole thing about them, man, is like
You don't get
They-
2 mulligans and everybody else that isn't in the SEC gets 1. That's not how this works. Actually, you're
Actually,
saying they get none.
It kind of is how it works in the SEC.
I'm just being dead serious here about Miami. Like, come on, man.
They are.
They've
are
also been taken to be bailed out by the refs many times too.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started on that Virginia Tech game. That was a touchdown, and I will die on that hill. Oh my God! They
Point
really
number
should.
1. That they've been bailed out. They've had their shares of being bailed out. And even if we're not counting that, let's just say Miami does belong there because, one bad game, cool. Do I believe that they'll make it any further or even beat SMU in the ACC championship? No, I really don't think they're beating SMU. I think SMU wins against Miami. I think Miami literally just has Cam Ward. Literally. That's it. Miami is
That
not
could
as
be
good
it.
as y'all think. Losing to Georgia Tech too is not a good sign. We all know what happened to Florida State when they lost to Georgia Tech. They crashed out. Boise being where they are is good. If not, they should be higher. And that's coming from me. Boise has made a lot of improvement. Their only loss being to Oregon, and even that was a close game. Boise is a good team. A lot of people say they shouldn't belong, or this like it's like, hey, they're the frauds, sitting in the top 12. They're not, absolutely not. They have competed against these teams. Like their only loss against Oregon. They've competed against them greatly. I believe Boise has a lot more to
Who
offer.
else have they competed against?
Yeah, they do play in the Mountain West, which is a significantly weaker conference than the SEC, who has numerous teams that we were like, oh, who did they play this year? Who has Boise played this year besides Oregon?
Yeah, they're like it's like Gonzaga, It's like everyone's like,
UNLV.
"Oh, Gonzaga is undefeated." It's like, well, if they would stop beating up on the poor YMCA's out west, and actually play some other teams.
You don't have to worry about that anymore because they joined a real conference now. Gonzaga did, so we can stop having that debate about how good they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I'm so happy that they finally stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, it took them long enough.
Still, I mean, you can't cut Boise out by all means. Like I
No.
get that they've only played Oregon, being their only team that they can, competed against, and they still lost. But you can't you can't totally
Who
cut
else
them
have
out
they?
'cause
Who else have they played?
UNLV. That's their other best win. UNLV is 25.
23.
So are they 23? That's, I guess it. I don't know. But look, you need a group of 25 school. It's either going to be Boise or BYU. Are they a group of 25? What conference?
BYU
is-
joined Big 12.
Oh,
yeah.
then I don't know who else then. So yeah, it's probably going to be Boise State. So
Either that or if miracles don't unfold, it
Army.
can somehow be Colorado. Colorado still has their shot, of making the Big 12 championship and having a good enough resume to be the 5th best. Yeah, they could still make it in as like the 5th best.
I could see it.
Yeah,
Which is
fifth
also
best
just
conference
crazy.
championship.
Yeah, which is also crazy to me too, because I think last year.
Go ahead.
Hang on, I'm sneezing.
Bless.
Well, yeah, because with Colorado, like last year, everyone was saying that like Dion was done. Like Dion was exposed. He's a fraud. They're not doing. Everyone was on his coattails the entire first half of the season, and then all of a sudden they just imploded. Now, it looks like he might actually have figured things out. So we'll see.
Colorado is still, I believe, a
Texas
possible
A&M
threat this year.
The only thing they're winning is having the most obnoxious fan base.
Yep, I can agree.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, that's right, because they're now in the SEC, so you've had to deal with them. I've been having to deal with them for years because they just show up at the woodwork, and they all think that they're national champions, and they haven't done anything.
Who? Colorado?
No, A&M.
A&M.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Like most obnoxious fan base. Like, no, Cy on the Telegram chat, if someone shows up and they're a Texas A&M fan, you should just ban them immediately.
Oh my god.
Trust me.
See, I'm surprised you weren't going to say Kentucky because Kentucky fans are obnoxious, very obnoxious. Well, the basketball fans, the football fans, not so much, but the basketball fans,
Yes, but it's earned.
when they're doing, I don't care if it's earned. They're still obnoxious. They act like they're God's gift to humanity. And Kentucky basketball, I'm sorry, is not. They haven't won jack, you know what, and God knows how long. So it's not really deserved, in my opinion, or how obnoxious they are. So
They had to petition to get Louisville's banner taken down because they couldn't stand the fact that we had won one. They did.
that is petty. That's
That's petty. That's
so
just petty.
petty.
Yeah.
Real quick, can I just say something about Penn State? Whoever plays Penn State in the first round is going to win. If there is any team that's going to be in the playoff that I have zero faith in, it's Penn State. And that's primarily because of James Franklin. I don't know how James Franklin still has a job currently because he is so underwhelming as a coach and cannot seem to beat Ohio State. But mark my words, Penn State is going to lose in the first round.
Well,
So,
good news for
I
Penn State. If
also-
they decide that they're going to fire Franklin, Vandy's got a good new coach again. So,
they were good when he was coach. That's how he got the Penn State job in the first place. He made
yep,
Vandy
that's what I mean.
relevant.
That's what I mean. I know. And now they're just like, all right, we're done with you. We're going with Vandy number 2.
I think Penn State is a placeholder for 4 right now. Honestly, and then like Psylocke said, they're just gonna crash out in the playoffs. I absolutely agree with you there. They're placeholders for that 4 spot right now.
Like they do this every single year. They look good, but they're not great, and they get overranked, overhyped. And when they come to play Ohio State or some years Michigan, what happens? They lose, and people are shocked. Oh, how could this happen? It's because James Franklin can't coach his way out of a wet paper bag. He's not a good coach. I'm sorry. So
No, he can coach just fine unless there's a number out to the side of your team that he's playing.
listen,
And then-
I'm partially salty because Penn State always beats Maryland in football. So there's some of that as well that's coming out in this, my bias against Penn State. But
No,
ahead.
they've only played so far, I think, Ohio State, and they lost to them. Who else have they played to?
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point. And granted, that's also the same argument against Boise. So,
Yeah, I can see it, but that's why I
I-
said. I mean, until they get exposed, I guess they can remain there.
and then you move on down. You got Colorado, Clemson, and Army. So Colorado, I mean, if they keep winning, okay, you can stay. Clemson is going to Clemson.
Clemson will do Clemson things, but I mean, I guess I believe that at least Army should be ahead of them right now. But
Army dropped 2 points in one of the polls, and they won.
which is kind of crazy, honestly. But I
It's
genuinely
things that you as an SEC school wouldn't understand.
I mean, no, we've dropped because of bad games before too, like versus Kentucky, even though we still won.
But you'll be back up to where you're normally at in a week.
Yeah,
And then
because
somehow-
then we beat a good team.
Yeah, and then right after the 9-0 Army, you have the travesty, which is the South Carolina Gamecocks coming in at 19.
Can I be
Why are
real
they
about
ahead
the
of Tulane?
Gamecocks? Can I be real about the Gamecocks? I
What?
believe that their record, they could have been such a better team. And I hate to say it. But I also am confident in saying that. South Carolina could have been a better team this year. if they didn't crash out like they did in the beginning of the year, like badly, they could have become a great team. That's just me. Because they're the ones that are exposing some of these, top SEC teams as well.
From the frauds.
Yes.
Yeah, like half the SEC team that's up there, or half of the SEC teams that are up above them.
Even though we haven't played South Carolina.
And then you got Tulane, Arizona, Iowa State, and UNLV. UNLV is just there to pad up Boise's stats, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, UNLV is. They're there. They're there. they're there. They exist. But I mean, honestly, though, I mean they have made improvements from last year. Good on them. But maybe a little bit higher. Don't know. But they're there. A good, decent team.
And then I guess we'll round out the bottom part with a mixture, because one poll's got one set and one poll's got another. So they've got Illinois and Washington State.
Washington State, they don't belong in the they don't belong in the top 25.
Washington State still has a better record than South Carolina, because it was all about the record, right? That's what you were saying about the SEC stuff.
But look at who they lost to. New Mexico? New Mexico?
As opposed to Old Mexico?
New Mexico.
It's like we
You
said
gotta
about
look at their
UNLV.
strength of loss here.
Hang on. What was that?
It's like we said about UNLV, that they're to gas up Boise State, considering that Boise State did play them and win.
Yes. Now on the other poll is where I find it more interesting, because somehow this is gonna make me sick to say it. Memphis. Memphis is somehow on there. I'm sorry. Let me use the correct Memphis State. And none of you are old enough to remember that, but that's fine. They hate
Memphis
that.
State.
And then Kansas State.
K-State, lovely.
Memphis and Louisville used to have a. So Louisville and Kentucky hated each other.
Yep.
Memphis and Louisville were secretly trying to murder each other. Like it's weird. Like it was one of those ones where like everyone had a sigh of relief when we left the conference with them, because that meant the rivalry was done, and that we would have a cool off period because someone was going to die. There was a basketball game, a famous basketball game, where it's like someone threw a knife on the floor in Memphis. So we were glad to have some time away from them.
My whole thing is with this top 25, I believe that we should stop looking more at records. I mean, obviously, if it's a bad,
We should
bad
stop looking at records. Okay, yeah. Now that the SEC suddenly has a bad record, wait, hold on there. We should see who's playing on ESPN. That's what we should be monitoring.
Wait,
So,
I did not
what-
say anything earlier about where
What do you propose?
numbers and records.
What do you propose? I'm curious.
Like propose, like what I was fixing to say.
Yeah.
Should look at the strength in who they beat and who they lost to.
Okay. So I feel like that is detrimental to group of 5 teams because of who they get to play. And if we're looking just solely at that, they're at a disadvantage. I don't know if I can jive if we're just looking at strength of schedule and who people play. It just doesn't seem fair. That's why I said let's let a computer do all the everything.
It probably would look better, but then it'll probably end up looking like the College Football 25 EA Sports game ranking.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like, trust me, I get that we should look that we should definitely look into, how many losses you got, but like the strength of schedule as well is definitely important because Indiana, I get that they don't have a loss, but hundredth hardest schedule, and they're in the top 5 when they would get absolutely murdered by.
They got that. All right, if Vandy would have been undefeated to this point,
If Vandy was, I'd say the same thing if they played nobody.
I mean, they lost to a team that got beat by Vandy. That's a nobody.
Yeah, but
What's
it's
your- What's your
different.
point?
My point is that we're done talking about the top 25 and we're moving on to our last bit, which is the most important topic I think that we're going to cover all night.
Which is
There's been an announcement as relating to the most important bowl game that is going to go on this year. Well, this football season, I should say.
Are we talking about the famous Pop-Tart Bowl?
We are. Excellent guess.
oh, I'm so hype.
So Lexi 2, if you don't remember, it was awesome. I don't know if you caught any of the Pop-Tart Bowl memes, any of the craziness that went on. They took over all of the internet.
I forget. Yeah, I did not remember this.
Yes, they had a mascot that was dressed up as a Pop-Tart, and he was awesome, and he was amazing, and his whole dream was to be put into a toaster and fed to the winning team. And they did, and it was terrifying and wonderful all at the same time.
I'm not gonna lie, I could absolutely eat up a big Pop-Tart like that right now.
Yeah, like he is a mascot. He goes into a giant toaster, goes down, and out comes out a giant sheet cake shaped exactly like the Pop-Tart that just went down, and the team just devoured them.
That's a dream. I actually bought Pop-Tarts today as well, so perfect
Well-
timing.
The important news is now there won't, because it was strawberry. I think was the flavor of the
It was.
Pop-Tart. It was the important part is because he's consumed, they couldn't have strawberry show back up again because that was the end of strawberry.
Yep.
So they made the announcement that there will actually be 3 mascots this year.
Oh,
Frosted Hot Fudge Sundae,
Mm.
Frosted
Okay.
Wild Berry,
okay.
and
Mhm.
Mystery Flavor.
Oh,
Oh,
It's coming back from the vault.
oh wait.
And-
So
No, hang on. And it was noted that only one mascot will achieve the ultimate pastry dream of being eaten by the winning team. The game's MVP will get to pick the flavor.
oh, word. That's cool.
the stakes have never been higher.
I
Yeah.
want to go to the Pop-Tart Bowl now. Can a team sign me so I can do this?
I mean, you can just go.
No, for real. I'd gas up the fucking wild. Oh, whoops. Cut that out. I'd eat up the frosted wild berry.
Wild Berry's good. I'm actually interested in the what the mystery flavor is because I don't think I've had the mystery flavor. So it might be just a way to sell the mystery flavor.
Maybe.
And I would totally get a mystery flavor just to find out what it's like. Now the hot Sunday fudge, hot Sunday fudge words would be very interesting. Since I did not expect that. I mean, based off of like the top 5 most consumed Pop-Tart flavors, like that one's not in there. I was shocked there wasn't like a brown cinnamon sugar, which is I think
Yeah.
that's kind of like the default, right? Like if somebody's carrying a Pop-Tart, it's never anything other than either strawberry or like the brown cinnamon sugar.
Yeah, that's true. Also, another thing, like, didn't they vault the blue rat? Wasn't there like a blue raspberry flavor that they had at Pop Tarts, right?
Yeah, it's
Like
a
a
wild
while
blue.
back.
That's it's one. It's one that they're putting in there. So he's up for consumption.
No, blue raspberry, not blueberry.
Wild blue raspberry.
I thought it was just wild berry.
I thought it was just wild berry.
Well, it's just
Yeah,
it's
I'm-
yeah,
I
it's
can,
wild berry.
I can vouch for the existence of a blue raspberry Pop Tart. I've eaten it, and as a blue raspberry aficionado myself, I was quite disappointed. I just don't think blue raspberry works with Pop Tarts.
I've never had it, but I'm kind of curious if that would be the mystery because I didn't I think they vaulted it.
You know, in
A
my
while back.
personal opinion, unless cookies and cream somehow ends up being the mystery flavor, I think it was snubbed because I personally believe that it is the best Pop Tart flavor.
Oh yeah,
Wasn't that
we had
wasn't
this
that the
whole we had a
flavor-
whole half of a show on this. I
wasn't
think
that the
when-
flavor
Go ahead.
last year? Wasn't
Was-
that the flavor last year that won?
Wasn't it?
That
No,
they
it's
had?
strawberry.
No, strawberry.
Was?
Yeah.
I thought it was cookies and cream for some reason.
No, because that was one of the ones we talked about because we listed off the different ones that we've had. Because like the Oreo one, I think is just fantastic.
Thank you.
And then there was a couple of other ones that were, I mean, they were pretty good. The chocolate fudge ones, you know, hey, if you want to eat like you have like a treat, it's totally breakfast. I mean, you're just eating candy. It's fine. What were some of the other ones that we talked about? Because there was a bunch of them that I was like, oh, I like those more than people think it's weird that I just don't like strawberries.
No, strawberry is like the OG. That's good. I like strawberry and the cherry. Those are the only two that I like.
Cherries
I'm
good.
not.
I like cherries over strawberries. Like anything that's if you gave me a choice at any time and said you need to choose between strawberry or cherry, I'm picking cherry 100% of the time, every time.
Now we tried. Me and my roommate one time when we went shopping, we tried the Apple Jacks one. Not a Apple Jacks one, and it was pretty disgusting.
I
That
was
should
loo-
never have been a Pop Tart.
I was looking at that today. I was actually at the store buying Pop Tarts, and that's when I got the wild berry ones. And then I was looking at that one. I was like, I'm kind of curious, but I don't want to be disappointed.
Yeah, it was not a good flavor combination.
Is it that bad? Like, you think that'd be actually pretty good?
I begrudgingly ate two of them. He only ate one and refused to eat them again. So, and he eats
Dang.
everything. So,
Was it worse than the Crush Pop Tart?
I've never had the Crush ones.
Okay, I refuse to ever even try that one. That one sounds awful.
I'm kind of curious now.
So
Kinda
yes,
wanna try
apparently Pop Tarts marketing is working though, because like I'm sitting there thinking like, what could be the mystery flavor? Like what have I seen that has been discontinued?
Yeah, I'm curious about it too.
But see, this is why bowl games are awesome because you get to do stuff like this. You're like leaning into having edible Pop Tarts, and of course, Duke's Mayo Bowl. They dump mayo on people. Apparently, I think that's what they do.
Yep.
And the
Well, it's bowl games that don't take themselves so seriously. This is what's fun. Like when Belk Bowl had the huge media presence. Like they were on Reddit, they were on Twitter, and they were just fun to interact. And you could tell they actually enjoyed watching college football. Like they would just show up in threads, completely unrelated to any team that has ever been in the Belk Bowl, and they'd start having conversations with people, and that's what made it fun. And then they had a fantastic Twitter presence and all that stuff. The Pop-Tart Bowl it kind of recaptured that away from kind of the corporateness that a lot of the bowls have gone into, and where they've hunkered down and they're just like, we're a serious bowl. And it's like nobody gives a shit about your bowl if you're not, and you can leave that in there. No one cares about it because it's not one of the big important bowls. So you have to make me care about it. You know how you make me care about it? You do silly stuff, or you do fun stuff, or you make people eat a giant human Pop-Tart.
Or
And I'm here for it. Yeah. Go ahead.
Or a big bowl of Cheez-Its.
Yeah. Especially the buffalo kind. Nothing. I get nothing out of
No,
you.
I'm hyped. I'm hyped. I'm hyped. I'm absolutely hyped to try it. I just don't know what. Look, I hear buffalo flavor stuff, and I'm all over it. I don't see it going wrong. I don't.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great flavor. I just think it's a really good mix between spice and tang.
Psylocke and
Yes.
Lexi are just
Yeah, the
producer
other
Lexi
two.
are just insane, I guess.
Yeah,
See, that's just proof that out of the two Lexis, it's basically a yin and yang. Lexi, that's what we've got going on here.
it's true.
All right, I guess it's time to wrap things up. So in that case, thanks everybody so much for listening, and hopefully you'll like, comment, and subscribe because I think those are important. I hope. In the meantime, we'll see you guys hopefully next week.